Good morning, friends. Team NGOenabler have come up with quite an interesting discussion today. A pre-budget discussion in the context of charitable organizations. In this video, we shall discuss what amendments in the relevant laws can be expected and might be on the agenda of our Honorable Finance Minister, and also what kind of amendments we seek or rather foresee which might be pronounced in this budget. Let's take up all the pointers one by one. First and foremost, with the kind of decisions recently passed by various regulatory bodies, maybe Supreme Court or High Court or Income Tax Appellate Tribunal for that matter, regarding the educational institutions and hospitals coming under the ambit of charitable organizations is very alarming. In this budget, you might witness some drastic changes happening in regard to that. It might not come as a surprise if, for educational institutions or hospital, any limit is put on the maximum fees or charges collected in order to claim exemption under Section 11 and 12 of the Income Tax Act. There might be other restrictions too, related to the kind of activities such organizations can carry out apart from their core activity. The budget might specifically spell out the do's and don'ts for such registered organizations. Although it might be a huge setback for the education and health sector, but in the current scenario, many experts are of the view that both of these has been commercialized instead of being actually charitable. In fact, in the pre-budget memorandum released by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, this suggestion is on the table that any amount accumulated in excess of 15% should be taxable at a concessional rate, say 20% or so. Yes, you heard it right. In the pre-budget memorandum released by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, this suggestion is on the table that any amount accumulated in excess of 15% should be made taxable at the concessional rate. But in our opinion, this will make the option of setting apart or accumulating funds for utilizing in subsequent years redundant, which does not seem to be the intention of the legislature. In fact, deciding the taxability criteria on the basis of the number of students or beds in the hospital, infrastructure facilities, or putting a limit on the fees as mentioned earlier by us for claiming exemption might be a better and practical option. Next in line could be bringing Section 1023C registered organizations too under the purview of CSR rules. Yes, it's a welcome amendment. In fact, Bombay Chartered Accountants Society have already submitted their proposals and recommendations regarding this matter to the concerned ministry. The charitable organizations receiving donations in kind might soon have to start recording the same at fair market value, as this too is one of the suggestions and recommendations listed in the pre-budget memorandum of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. In our opinion, though it might be a welcome amendment, but a very critical and cumbersome too. Taking out the fair market value of each item will in itself be a process and a task tougher than normal accounting, considering the knowledge constraints of many NGOs. So, for the time being, either certain specific items only should be included for this purpose to make life a bit easy, or at least the procedure for calculation of fair market value should be exclusively laid out. However, nowhere it has been suggested about the utilization of such contribution in kind. So what do we think? Since the utilization of items received in kind is usually done as it is or is distributed directly to the beneficiaries, it might be immaterial to record such contribution in kind because there will be no impact as such. However, from accountability and transparency point of view, the NGOs should surely maintain proper record of such contribution in kind and its utilization. But there lies a huge ambiguity regarding this, because how the authorities will be able to keep track of such contribution in kind if any NGO doesn't record the same is still a grey area to be addressed. Yet another suggestion which has been tabled in the pre-budget memorandum of the ICAI is deemed a registration under Section 12AB, where the time limit for passing the order for grant of registration is over and the application is not disposed of. We too would like to see this change in the relevant section. If you soon hear that a new designation of Charity Commissioner has been introduced in the department, be rest assured that yet another suggestion in the pre-budget memorandum of ICAI has been approved by the ministry. Although even now, Commissioner of Income Tax exemptions is specifically meant for that, so let's see what shall be the scope of work for the new designation to avoid conflict of interest. Apart from what has been covered in the pre-budget memorandum of ICAI, we would also like to seek few amendments for NGOs from our side. Condonation of delay for filing Form 9A, Form 10 and Form 10B, which now vests with the CIT exemptions or Chief Commissioner of Income Tax or after a certain limit directly with Central Board of Direct Taxes, an online portal of filing the petitions should now be introduced for this too. In any case, Income Tax Department have already gone faceless in almost all aspects. So why not this too? Moreover, there should be no subjectivity or ambiguity in the application process. The procedures should be laid out as far as possible. More clarity is required in section 11 subsection 2 relating to specific activity for which accumulation is done. Specific activity has been left to the mercy of the interpretation by the assessing officer. It would be better if the same is defined or elaborated to cover a particular list of activities in the Act itself. The third amendment which we seek is certain specific provisions should be laid out for the unregistered charitable organizations too, which always bear the brunt of section 164 subsection 2, where in case of association of persons, the share of the members has to be defined, but being charitable, there cannot be any such share for them, and which makes them taxable at the maximum marginal rate. The fourth amendment which we seek is more clarity can also be brought in the last clause of the definition of charitable activities under section 2 subsection 15, that is advancement of objects of general public utility. Its interpretation is either at the mercy of the officer or at the mercy of the management of the NGO. Till now, many organizations also have taken advantage of the clause and carried out multiple business activities in the guise of this clause. And many unfavorable assessments too have been done against the SSE even in genuine cases. So, laying out definite provisions shall set the tone for future litigations. In the budget, some changes are also expected with regard to the FCRA rules, where the government might ease out the compliances for the FCRA organizations, but at the same time, further restrictions too are expected. We would recommend and want to see one major change, which is specifying the timeline for granting the registration under FCRA. At present, there is no time limit mentioned under the FCRA either for granting or rejecting the application. In the absence of any such timeline, it is expected that the concerned authorities should dispose all the application within the reasonable time. Normally, such processing should be done within 6 months of the application, but practically it is found that applications for registrations are delayed for even 2 or 3 years. It's a much needed amendment that is required, where a timeline should be fixed by the MHA within which the registration process needs to be completed by the FCRA department, irrespective of whether it's approved or rejected. Not passing of the order in time should be either made appealable or deemed registration should be granted up to a certain amount of contribution. So friends, be prepared for a tsunami of amendments that is supposed to hit the charitable organizations on 1st February 2022, when the budget shall be tabled in the parliament. We will be coming up with our analysis of the budget in the context of the NGOs soon after the budget is out. For any clarifications, feel free to contact us or comment below. Stay tuned and subscribe to our channel for latest updates on NGOs. Thank you.